Hello, students. We are going to continue in our U.S. Constitution unit with the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments in the Constitution. We are going to look at Amendment 1, which is freedoms of religion, speech, press, assembly, and petition. We will give a short explanation for each one of those freedoms that are in this first amendment. So you will, first of all, write religion, speech, press, assembly, and petition in your notes as you see here on the screen. The First Amendment protects 5 basic rights: freedom of religion, speech, press, assembly, and petition. Congress cannot set up an established or official church or religion for the nation. Congress may not abridge or limit the freedom to speak and write freely. The government may not censor or review books and newspapers before they are printed. The right to assemble or hold public meetings is also protected. Petition means to ask. Grievances are wrongs. The people have the right to petition the government for grievances to be corrected. So the first one we're going to look at here is religion. And what we want to focus on here is what rights we have according to this amendment. And so it says that Congress cannot set up an established or official church or religion for the nation. So what that means is that we have the right to believe or practice any religion as long as we do not cause harm to others. The United States does not have an official religion. You can be whatever religion you want to, or you can have no religion at all. We have talked about this before. So I am going to kind of explain to you some of these images that I have here as well. And they are to give you some visual cues as to what each parts of these amendments mean. So when we look at this image here, these are different symbols for 9 different religions that there are and that are accepted and that are allowed to be practiced here in the United States. Now, of course, there are many, many more religions, but this is to remind you that a person can choose to be whatever religion they would like to be if they live in the United States. So now some religions or some people might claim that their religion is telling them to do a certain practice that might bring harm to others. That is not okay. Once they cross that line and they cause harm to someone or something, an animal perhaps, then they no longer have the right to practice that religion. They can only practice the religion if it does not bring harm to others. For speech, it says Congress may not abridge or limit the freedom to speak or write freely. So we're going to, again, rephrase this into how we have the right, as far as speech is concerned, that we can speak our opinions as long as we don't use threats. When threats are brought into your speech, then you have crossed over the line of what you have the right to say. So you can say you don't like things. You could even say that you hate things. But if you say, I am going to cause harm to you, that is a threat. I am going to slash your tires. That is a threat. Okay, those are things that are not allowed to be said to others, or you can have a consequence for that. Press is writing. A lot of times people think that word press means that it's on TV or something like that, but that is not what press means. Press means in writing. So you can also write your opinions without using threats or something that's called slander. Now down here below, my 2 images that go along with speech and press. So speaking your mind, sharing your opinions, that's just kind of a reminder there. But again, not using threats. And then here's an example of press, the newspaper, but this could be anything that's in print. So it could be, a magazine. It could even be a blog. It could be a post on Instagram. These are different types of press. So digital is included in that as well. If it's a news reporter on the television or a person speaking on the television or in a video, a webcast, those kinds of things, that then falls under speech because they're actually saying those things. Press is if it's in print, if it's in writing. The next one is assembly, and it says that the right to assemble or hold public meetings is also protected. So an assembly is when we gather people together. And so this can be done as long as it is done peacefully, and anything can be discussed at these peaceful assemblies. When you think about it here at school, we assemble together in a classroom on a daily basis. We might assemble all together in the gym for some sort of presentation. And so these can all be done as long as it's done being peacefully. You gather at churches, you gather in public parks, wherever, okay, as long as it's done peacefully. And then we have petition. Petition means to ask, and people can petition the government for grievances to be corrected. So we've talked about this word grievances before, and those are things that we feel are wrong. So we have the right to ask the government to change or fix wrongs as long as that remains peaceful. So my image down here below is that people are, in this one, we actually see a few different things. We see people that are gathering together and they're doing that peacefully, but they're asking for a change to be made. So this is, of course, before women had the right to vote, that they gathered together to petition the government to give women the right to vote. So a lot of times people think that a petition is just people signing a paper that says that they want to see something done. That can be used as this form of petition to ask the government to change things that you feel are wrong, but you can use other types of protests as well, like gathering together. And now also in this image, they're using the right to freedom of press because they have a sign that says give women the vote. So we see a few different things, a few different rights being used in that particular image there, asking the government to let women have the right to vote. And again, this was before women had the right to vote. So sometimes this amendment is unclear. We're not going to find the answer to this in the yellow guide. That's why I wrote thinking question next to it. And you'll find some of these thinking questions throughout the Bill of Rights notes. And the reason why it's unclear, I kind of gave that with each one of them. I said if they cross over that line, then it no longer becomes your right. And the problem with that is that not everybody sees where the line is drawn. And so they're not sure if they actually have the right to do something, or it's blurry, it's faded, it's hard to see. So sometimes we're not sure where the boundary is. And what's important to think about is that we need to make sure that we do not violate or take away the rights of other people while we are exercising our own. We need to use our rights with responsibility. And this was the message in the video that we watched in class the other day, that we can fight for things to change, like give women the right to vote. We can fight for that by gathering together peacefully, by holding up a sign, by even chanting. We could use our right to free speech in that moment as well. But if it starts to turn violent, then we no longer have the right to be in that situation. So if there starts to be fighting in a protest like that, then the police are going to come and they're going to start arresting. And you can't say, well, I have the right to protest and ask the government to change these things that we feel are wrong. Yes, you do, but you don't have the right to be physically violent when you do so. So sometimes it's difficult. And this is the reason why we have our court system. Our court system is going to look at each individual circumstance and then make a decision. Did you really have that right or did you not? When we are finished looking at all of the Bill of Rights, we are going to do a hypothetical situation assignment where we look at these different things, and you're going to have to decide what is supposed to be happening in each of those situations. Amendment 2 is the right to bear arms. And arms are weapons. We've talked about that word before. Police officers and the National Guard have the right to carry weapons. Courts have ruled that the government can regulate ownership of guns for private citizens. Citizens are required to have a gun license, a gun registration, and a background check during a 3-day waiting period. So what does this amendment mean? This is the question that we're going to answer for just about every single one of the amendments. The first thing that we see here is about police officers and National Guard. So police officers and National Guard can always carry weapons. They have that license to be able to carry a weapon all the time because of their profession. However, we are really focusing on the rights of citizens here, the rights of people of the United States, actually, let me put it that way, with each one of these amendments. And so the right here says that citizens can have a weapon as long as they have certain things, a gun license, a gun registration, and then they're also going to need to have a waiting period for a criminal background check. So in this criminal background check, they are going to be looking for any sort of violent crimes, especially with a weapon. If there are any felony charges, then a person will not clear this background check, so then they will not be able to purchase a gun legally. Remember, all of this stuff is legally. People definitely obtain weapons illegally on their own through different sources, but this is the way to legally obtain a weapon. So up at the top here, my image that goes along with this is a gun license here. This is the registration. And then this is actually going along with our number 3 answer here in a second. The registration, the license is for saying that you, the person, have the right to own the weapon. The registration is for the weapon itself so that they know that that gun is registered to you. And then again, the waiting period is to make sure that people don't rush into situations. So they want to make sure that they prevent what they call crimes of passion. And so that if you were really mad about something and you felt like you wanted to hurt someone and you went out to get a gun right then in the moment, you would not be able to get one. And the point of this is that you have a little time to sort of cool down and realize that that would be a really big mistake, that you could be ruining your life if you chose to use a weapon on someone in the heat of the moment. So 2 legal reasons to own a gun. Again, this is a thinking question, and I have this one image up here to help give you a clue on what it would be. I think the number 1 reason that you can get right away is for self-defense or for protection. This one is depends on if you can really understand what's happening in this picture. This is a dog, obviously, and then we have the person here with the weapon. They are hunting. And so hunting and protection, or hunting and self-defense, however you want to put it in there, those are our legal reasons to own a gun. There are, probably other reasons that a person might want to have a gun that perhaps are not legal, but these are 2 legal reasons to own a gun. The 3rd amendment is called lodging troops in private homes. During the colonial period, the British quartered or housed soldiers in private homes without the owner's permission. This amendment limits the government's rights to use private homes to house soldiers. So this amendment here, again, is saying that it's preventing the government to use homes for troops. But we're going to turn it around to say, what is the right of the homeowner? And the right of the homeowner is that they do not have to house soldiers unless they give permission to do so. And so here in my image, we have a soldier that we're looking like is going to be inside the home. And probably with this one, what we would want to do is something like this, where we would put a line through it, that you cannot be forced to house soldiers. So I left that off originally so that we would be able to see that image back there behind. because I want you to be able to see what is there. And oftentimes when we put something like that in front of it, you won't be able to see what the actual image is. So they cannot force people to house soldiers without permission from the owner. Okay, so that will end this part of the lesson, amendments 1 through 3. In order to get the next amendments, you'll have to go on to the next video.